Hello, lovely ladies in the Goddess Creations for Women group and beyond if you are watching this in replay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And we are now on to the 10th video, the 10th interview of this series of the Goddess Creations Empowerment Marathon. And today I have with me the lovely, wonderful Dawn C. Meyer, who is all, well, let's just say that she is hours and hours away from where I am at the moment. And that is the beautiful thing of technology and how within that we can bring the universe and the largeness of us, of the universe, right down together at the same time. Now, Dawn is going to be speaking on release, relax, and rejuvenate, creating a stress-free life, as is the theme of this week. The theme of this week is stress. And Dawn is called also the Purple Dawn, and she is a former rocket scientist. Rocket scientist? Yes, rocket scientist. So Dawn is a former rocket scientist and is now an energy healer. And she loves working with her hands. Now, Dawn is an international best-selling author. And she has, among her books, is also the book called Launchpad 2020, The Art and Rocket Science of Breakthroughs and Possibilities. And I'm sure that Dawn will say a little bit about that in a moment. Dawn is also a Reiki master and Access Bar practitioner, to name just a few of her talents. Right, so where Dawn's dream before was to be the first woman on the moon, now her passion is to help people find the choices and possibilities that they thought were gone from them, or perhaps didn't even realize that they had. And so she will be sharing with us how we can create the life that we want and would like to be living, and to let go of stress and set healthy boundaries. So I'm going to now bring on Dawn to share with us. So hello, Dawn. Good to see you.
Hello, good to see you
Hello.
too. Yes,
So
we are a few hours apart here.
we're quite a few hours apart, as it's 9 o'clock now in the morning with you and 3 o'clock here, just for those at the moment that we are filming. So you are a former rocket scientist. How is that possible?
Well, as you were telling them, I had two things I wanted to be: the first woman on the moon, or someone who could heal with their hands. And to me, that just kind of fit together. I mean, it's about seeing all those possibilities that not everybody sees. In fact, someone was telling me the other day, you should tell people, do you see what I see? Because most of them don't. And they said, and it's Christmas. You could use that Christmas carol, and which of course is at the time that we're filming, and so yeah, it to me it was perfectly logical to look at those possibilities that not everybody sees, and just make that uh, some people say jump, other I just say transition
Well,
from
let's
one
just
career
go.
to the next.
Well, that's a big leap. So let's just go back, right? I mean, from rocket scientist, right? Rocket scientist, especially when you are talking about possibilities and rocket scientists, I think of the many stars. Now, us living in towns, we don't see as many stars as there are. I mean, you might see that little bow tie called Orion, but actually, when we are out in nature or in the desert, that's then the amount of stars hits you. Now, I'm sure that that's only when you think, hang on there are more things out there than we realize. Is that the range or the idea of possibilities that is attractive to you? And let's just say from
Yes.
the rocket scientist point of view.
Yes, definitely. It's realizing that even though you don't see them because it's too light, the stars are still there. So
Hmm.
even though you don't see those possibilities, they're still out there if you're willing to ask for them. Because it's all about asking the God source universe for those possibilities that exist that you didn't know about. Because
Yeah.
let's face it, even though some people think they know everything, they really don't. And so when you ask for what you would like to have, and then be open to those little whispers of the universe saying, oh, turn left, not right, or read that book, or call this person, or whatever it is that's showing up, realize that those are the universe pointing you in the direction of what you said you'd like to have.
So how did you going back to, I mean, I'm still talking about the past bit here, right? How
Yeah,
do you
okay.
go from be wanting to be the first woman on the moon? How do you go from being a rocket scientist, which is a totally different world? How do you go from that to becoming the energy healer who seems to be very aligned and very calm and very in the know?
Hmm.
How did you make that transition? What was for you the turning point in that?
The turning point for me was I had always been interested in science fiction, so I had seen the movies where people could heal people with their hands, and I wanted to do that. As a little
Ah,
girl, it's like, oh, I want to do that. And so, yes, I worked on the space shuttle, NASA space shuttle program for 28 years. And when it was coming to an end, they asked me if I wanted to stay. And the universe kept saying, you need to do this, you need to do this. Because ever since I had gotten divorced like 10 years earlier, actually even a few more than that, almost 20 years earlier than that, I had been studying the energy healing and the energy work because I was looking for something that would help me to have more peace of mind, more calmness, um, let
so
go
that
of
was
some
while
of
you
the
were still
grief and
in.
anger, yeah, that came with my divorce. And so, I had considered leaving the space program before that to start that career, and the universe kept saying, "Well, not quite yet."
How do you know? I mean, for us, well, you're very in tune to that, and I also sometimes pick up signals, of course. But for those that may not know, how do you know that universe is talking to you, and especially you as being the ex rocket scientist? I mean, I just love the fact that you are. So I will keep referring back to it. So how do you know that universe is talking to you, Dawn?
uh, I'd start asking questions, and then I have a form of muscle testing that I do, and for people who may not, it's also called um, a type of reflexology, kinesiology, those sorts of things, depending on what terminology you're using. And it's to get a yes or a no answer. Now, I also get more than yes or no answers. However, that's how I started, was just the yes or the no, and the yes would pull me forward and the no would pull me back. And it's different depending on the person. Some people go side to side and various things. You have to ask which is a yes for you and which is a no for you. And so I started asking, the universe, well, is it time for me to pursue this energy healing thing, or am I still required here at the Space Center? And I
Yeah.
kept getting, you're still required. There are things you need to be doing here. And one of the things that I did was to kind of bring calm as the program was drawing to an end, because of course there's a lot of emotions and trauma and drama that comes up when you're
Absolutely.
facing the end of something that you've been in for a long time
Yeah.
and not knowing what your future is.
Yes.
And so that was what I considered to be part of my job, was to bring that calming energy in. And people would like to just come and sit in my office. So,
Mm.
so it was,
So
to
you
me,
would
saying,
think.
this is what I'm doing. Yeah. And so then um, as we were getting nearer, they told me that in order to leave, I had to actually volunteer to leave because they had other things they wanted me to stay and do.
Mm.
So I had to volunteer to leave the program but I waited till the very last day, and then I left with like a few thousand other people.
Mm.
And then I spent about a month meditating on what it is I would like to be doing, because
All of
yes,
this
I
was
had,
your testing of the yes and the no's, let's say. Were you doing
yeah.
that for a month? I mean, I might be saying a bit blasé, but I mean, were you really going within and just took that time out, that pause to find out? Because that is good advice, actually,
Yeah.
for because your theme, of course, that you're sharing with us is, how to release and relax and rejuvenate. So even in your changing of your employment, you took that time to do it with full awareness. At
Hmm.
least that's what I'm seeing here. So that in itself is a good tip for all of us, I'd say.
Yes, it's realizing that you can just start, calming yourself and going within and asking the universe, what's my next step?
That's
because a lot of,
terrifying.
yeah, some people find that terrifying, and I get that. And for me, it was a little scary as well. And that's why I spent a month doing it.
So was that a month second guessing and second guessing? I was like, "Are you sure? Are
No,
you sure?"
no, it wasn't second guessing. It was like, because I had gotten that the energy healing was the way to go. And then it was, well, how am I going to approach that?
Yeah.
How am I going to actually create a business with that, or create a career or a path with that, without just jumping in? Now, some people do well with jumping in. I'm not always good with just jumping right into things. I do like to do a little planning. And yet I also like to not get into what we call planning paralysis, which
Mm.
is where, like you said, you're constantly second guessing yourself and redoing it and redoing it and redoing it until you never make the first step.
Yes.
So now I keep asking the universe, what's my next step?
And would you say that doing it that way reduces your own stress level? I mean, you don't look like someone that's had stress, Dawn. You don't.
I do sometimes have
How
stress. And
can
when I
you
was at
relate?
the space program, I had a lot of stress.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, it's realizing to let go of needing to know every single detail, or needing to
Ah,
have every light green before you leave the house. Because realizing that even if you wait on all the lights to be green, at one point, one of them is going to change.
hmm.
And then you can't let that throw you. So
I,
it's allowing yourself to have that inner guidance and knowing, and making that first step, and then saying, okay, so what's my next step, and what's my next step, and what's my next step.
I find that very powerful. In itself, letting go of needing to know every detail. I mean, even me repeating it is triggering the control freak in me.
I
It's
get
like,
that.
it's like, right.
Yeah,
But then you did also say that you are a planner, and yet you don't have to always know everything. So it seems to, in that in itself seems to be a contradictory, if you know what I mean.
yeah. Oh, I get that.
I
And
mean,
it's not that I don't necessarily plan anything. I'm also willing to course correct.
hmm.
So even though I have planned something and
Because is
done,
planning
because
your head or is that planning universe? I mean, who's doing the planning then?
well, I always ask for guidance from the universe
Yeah.
in planning, and realizing that sometimes you have to make details and you have to know things a little farther in advance. Like, okay, well, I need to rent a room to teach this class, and they need a month's notice or whatever. And
Yeah.
realizing that, yes, sometimes you need to make that. And then
Of course.
realizing that sometimes you have to course correct. For instance, I had planned a class and then we had a hurricane. Okay, so now we have to replan the class
Zen.
and make these course corrections, and to not let myself get caught up in the upset that a lot of people have. It's like, well, but I planned this, I have to do it.
Hmm.
Well, you're not going to have a lot of people show up during a hurricane, that's for sure. So you need to be able to be flexible and kind of flow, because if you're, we'll go back to being rocket scientists, if you're going to the moon and you're going in a course and something happens that you start to veer off to the side, you have to course correct to get back on track
Oh
to where
heck!
you'd like to
Can you get
go.
off? Can you get off track on? Well, I know. This is me going off on a tangent. But can you go off track on your way
Well,
to the moon? Is that real?
well,
Is that?
if something is a little bit different than what you had thought it would be, sure
Mm.
you can. And it's the same way if you're going across a lake. You're going along and you're going along, and if you just keep steering the same way, sometimes you may get there. But if the current's a little bit different than what you were expecting, or the wind is a little different, you start to go off to one side, and then it's like, okay, well, I need to pull myself back over here to get back on track again.
So is that what you would then say is what you do with, with the release and the relax and rejuvenate? How would you take us on that journey of this?
Well, I would go with the starting out, asking yourself what it is you really want,
Hmm. What
and
is it?
realizing that, sometimes we jump right in, oh, I want more money, a big house, a big car, blah blah blah, and realizing that, is that what's really going to bring you happiness in life? Because most people, that's what they would like in their life, is happiness. and realize that a lot of times things are not what bring you happiness. Experiences and relationships and people are what bring you happiness. Now, the things may be the stepping stones to getting there. However, asking yourself, what do I truly desire to have in my life? And go with that. And then start asking yourself, okay, now how do I get here? Ask the universe, how do I get there? What's my next step? What's my next step? And writing it down, a lot of people, journaling is everything for them.
Wow.
And they can start writing down these things, and writing them down gives you more focus. It gives you more clarity. It helps you to realize, okay, now I can go back and look at this later and see where that was taking you. And maybe it's something completely different than what you expected, and be willing to let go of, like you said, that control of thinking that, well, I made this plan, now I have to stick to it, instead of saying, okay, is this still going to create what I would like to have?
Yes. So when when you're journaling, let's say, is that like how much of that would you say is your brain versus universe or the divine, or depending on how you name it, because when you're writing something, I mean, I know it for myself, but I'm just asking you, when you're writing, at which point is that universe and which point is that yourself?
It varies from person to person. And sometimes some people get to where they're really zoned out and they're just writing, and most of that is universe. Other people, they're hearing those little whispers and they're writing that down. So that's kind of a combination. And then if you're really rigid and you're not open to anything, then that's going to be all your brain.
Yeah. Okay, so it does depend on the state you're in and how much you allow, let's say.
Yeah, because if you're not willing to receive anything different than what you thought you needed to have, because if you already decided what it's going to be and how it's going to look and what you're going to do, then that's all you're going to let in. Whereas if you allow yourself to be more open to things, then you can get those whispers and you can get maybe zoned out and writing, however that is comfortable for you, because you don't want to be uncomfortable and then go into complete resistance.
Yeah.
So just flow with it. Keep asking for the guidance from God, source, universe, or angels, or whatever it is that you ask, and flow.
Is there something I'm missing in this? Because it seems so beautifully divine and beautifully obvious the way you are explaining how we can actually take care of ourselves by asking questions of the divine and checking into our body, let's say, for the answer. Can you give us a sample of how to how to relax, release, rejuvenate in our own life, let's say, how we can uh, apply a technique that you have, let's say, to let go of our stress, or to set our boundaries, or to just we are so zen. I mean, this is the least I've spoken in all of the interviews. It's like how can I be asking questions when you're so zen? So can you give us an example of that, or take us on that journey, maybe in the now? I don't know, maybe in meditation or whatever you'd like to share with us in that.
Well, the one technique that I always give to people is something that's called return to sender, which sends the energy back out into the universe. And that will help you do a lot of relaxation, is that you can say, everything that I've taken on for or from people today, or this last hour, or wherever it is, when you start feeling all tensed up and upset, and I take all of that and I return it to sender with consciousness attached, which sends it back out into the universe for the universe to recycle it into whatever it needs to do with it.
Now, I must say, when I've heard return to sender before, but my human brain thinks that I'm sending it back to a person. And so I feel guilty about that. And so I don't do a return to sender, because I'm like, that doesn't seem very Christian or nice. You know what I'm saying? To send it back to a person. So, but you are saying return to sender, which is universe, but is universe sending?
Say with consciousness attached.
With consciousness attached.
So that the universal consciousness chooses where it needs to go. Now, sometimes some of it may need to go back to the person because they need to learn how to deal with this thing. And other times it just keeps going to something else or somewhere else or someone else.
Is this
Because
like we're
it
talking about
chooses.
yin yang? Is that what we're talking about? So that there is always shadow and light? Is that what we're saying?
I don't really look at it so much that as the universe deciding this is where we need to be going with this. You need to maybe let these people learn how to live their lives rather than trying to do everything for them. Or they need to know what this is. Or it may just be that energy, because everything is energy, that energy gets transmuted into something else.
Into something else. I like that because that means that you are releasing that that you have taken on from someone else, and it gets transmuted in. It's like eons and microns and particles, and
Yeah,
it's even my
because the
non-scientific way
universe
of speaking. And
the universe knows what needs to be done with that. You
yes,
don't really know.
it's not
And
up to
when
us.
it's not up to you. And when you've decided that you know what's best, now you are trying to control it and trying to make all these decisions that aren't yours to make. So that causes a lot more stress for you. Plus, then you may be robbing other people of what they require or the universe of energy that it can use.
So even us trying to control that or control how someone else thinks about something or how someone else acts, and all of that
Mm-hmm.
is creating stress because it's not our business in a way. It's like just actually it is a matter of it's like when I wake up at night sometimes, and thank goodness I do sleep well. But when I wake up at night, and sometimes my mind goes into active mode, I say, come back into the now, right now, now. And because the now is the moment of me being in bed and not
Mm-hmm.
what have I been doing or what am I going to do. No, the now is right there at that moment. And so I guess anything outside of that now could be translated as stress.
Yeah. Because it's always that we're dreading the future or we're lamenting over the past or whatever those things are that you're doing, rather than being in the present with whatever is really going on with you and what it is you'd like to be creating.
So is there something that you would like to share with us or take us on, actively share with us just for a few minutes, let's say, so that we can experience part of what you do, Dawn? Is that possible?
Yeah, we can do a real quick meditation, maybe 5 minutes or so.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so I ask everybody to just get comfortable. And as long as you're not driving, close your eyes and take in a nice deep breath and let it out. And now on this breath, pull up energy from the earth into your heart and let the breath out. And now pull energy down from the universe into the top of your head and into your heart. And let that breath out. And let that energy flow through your entire body that you've got in your heart. That's you and the universe and the earth all together in there. And as it spreads out through your body, let it move aside anything that's in its way. And let whatever that is go. Don't have to worry about what it is, what it was, where it came from. Just be willing for that energy to go. There. Isn't that a lot lighter now? A lot less stress and anger there. So do that again. Let it continue flowing out through your body and pushing things out of the way. And now I invite you to get a sense of your energy and realize that it's not bound by your body. And let your energy just expand out beyond your body. Ask it to go ahead and fill the room. Ask it to fill the building that you're in. Just keep asking your energy to expand out. And now maybe the whole city. A mile, 2 miles, 5 miles. Let it expand out. 50 miles. 100 miles. Up, down, and all around you. Now ask it to continue to expand out 1,000 miles. 10,000 miles. Let your energies surround the whole earth now. You're much lighter now, much more expansive. You're all of that. Now ask it to go beyond the earth, out to the moon, to the sun, beyond our solar system, and out into space as far as you'd like to go. And now that you're out here, you can turn back and look where the earth was, or is. It's still there. And see that all that stuff that had made you so weighted down, feel so heavy and upset, it's really not as important and significant as you thought. And you can let any of it that you still are carrying with you, just let it fade. And hey, you're out in the middle of space here. You can let it go. You have that power. You have that choice to let those things go and to not keep carrying around things that really don't serve you anymore. You can let them go. Okay. Shake yourself off a little bit. Let all that stuff fall away. Be grateful that you were able to let that go. Thank God, Source Universe, for helping you with that. You realize you can come back out here anytime. And so now, just ask your energy to start coming back. Coming back into our galaxy. Coming back into our solar system. Coming back to within reach of the sun and the moon. Back to the earth. Back to the 10,000 miles. Back to 1,000 miles. 100 miles. 10 miles. Just let it flow. If you've got any resistance, be willing to let that go. It's okay. Back to within a mile. Back to the city you're in. Back to the building. Back to the room. Back to your body. Get a sense of your body. Bring your attention to your eyes. And slowly open your eyes.
Wow, thank you. That was
You're
lovely and
welcome.
peaceful. So nice and peaceful. So, Dawn, is there anything else you would, in fact, even my tone has changed. Is there anything else you would love to share with us as we are going to be rounding off this interview, this very interesting interview? of
I,
possibilities.
so I invite you to go out and look at my other meditations on YouTube. And it's for, yeah, there she goes. The bit.ly/Dawn Meditations. That's my playlist of meditations. And that one, or a version of it, I mean, it's always different whenever I do it. That one's out there, and there's several others out there.
And
And
where else can we find you, Dawn?
you can also find me at my website, which is iampurpledawn.com.
So it's
And
like
I'm
saying
on
I am,
Facebook too.
and
Yeah,
on
I
Facebook.
am
I am
purpledawn.com.
purpledawn.com.
Yeah, and then I'm purple.dawn on Facebook too.
Wow.
And just come on out and join me.
Well, this has been the most calming, most relaxing interview that we have had. And I would love to see who the lovely lady is that has commented while we are still on live. So I'm going to quickly see what her name is. This is Miriam. And Miriam says that she loves it. She loves to do this meditation, as you said, as we just did. So she loves this meditation. She loves to do it. Also, sometimes it can be difficult and it can make her scared, of course, the expansion of your energy so far out, and hurt maybe sometimes the most. And but let me see, what does it say? Hurt, but indeed most of the time it is about letting go, one love, and love for yourself and for you and for your past. So and for your path. So Miriam is actually sharing how this type of a meditation, how this feels to her. So thank you, Miriam, for sharing. Now,
Thank
I would
you.
love to know, lovely ladies, if you are watching this in the live, you may do a hashtag live, even though we're almost at the end of our video. And if you are watching this in replay, do a hashtag replay, because I would love to know who's watching and when. And thank you, Purple Dawn Meyer, for the totally zen interview. I really don't know I don't even know if I have been talking, because I feel like I feel like I've been in this beautiful bubble of peace. And that is exactly what the point was, I guess, of
Yeah.
this lovely interview on,
Yeah.
what was it called? Release, relax,
Relax and rejuvenate.
rejuvenate,
Uh,
creating
and may I
stress-free life.
mention my book?
Oh, yes, of course you may.
My
Yes.
book, The Launchpad 2020, that came out, and it takes you through a lot of these things. It's a journal and also has instructions and talks about different concepts. And it's a whole year of doing that. And yet there's no pressure. So for
Is it
people who
is it
say,
a workbook, like a daily workbook?
yeah, there are questions that it asks and
Oh, that's so
prompts
fun.
and and quotes and meditations and just a whole variety of things, so that if you're like me and you get bored with doing the same thing every day, you don't have to do the very same thing every day. You can
Exactly.
do all the
Well,
different things.
I like the fact that it has a lot to do in there, and yet at the same time, it is all about being connected and zen. So, thank you very much for sharing that, Dawn.
You're
Purple
welcome.
Dawn. It's so strange, Purple Dawn Meyer. What's the name? And so, thank you very much for joining us and interviewing and being interviewed. Thank you, lovely ladies, for watching in the live in the Goddess Creations for Women group. And thank you, lovely ladies and maybe men watching outside, as we are going to be sharing this everywhere and everywhere. I look forward to having the next interview too. But this was a session number 10 of the Goddess Creations Empowerment Marathon interview session. So thank you, Dawn Meyer, for joining me for this lovely Zen interview. I mean, I have no words. I am totally feeling stress free. So, mission accomplished.
Thank you.
And thank you. And thank you for watching. So, lovely ladies, I will be seeing you soon. Until the next time. And thank you, Dawn, and we will meet again.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye.